Relativity, the special and general theory, Albert Einstein. So it's kind of a funny book because they allude to all these figures, but then they don't show any of the figures, and I'm not sure where they relate to. But the two things I wanted to show you or tell you is, one, here's what Einstein said, page 52, in his Relativity, the Special and General Theory, about halfway down the page. He said, it may be added that, according to the theory, half of figure 5, this deflection is produced by the Newtonian field of attraction of the sun, and the other half by the geometrical modification, curvature, of space caused by the sun. So what he's saying here is that Newton's law of deflection that he used accounted for half the actual deflection from the sun, and this relates back to the Eddington expedition in 1919, right? So, and they were looking for Einstein's what Einstein predicted, and they said, oh yes, I mean Eddington and some others were big patrons of Einstein, and they said, oh yes, it did. Not everybody agreed. You know, it wasn't like a big, loud applause and stuff at the Royal Society. But anyway, so it may be added that according to the theory, half of figure 5, this deflection is produced by the Newtonian field of attraction of the sun, and the other half by the geometrical modification, parenthesis curvature, of space caused by the sun. So half the credit goes to Newton and the other half goes to Einstein. But if you look at the Newton deflection and the Einstein deflection, to get the Einstein deflection, you just multiply by 2. But here he's giving the deflection not to his own curvature, he's relating it to half. Newton gets half the credit, and he'll take the other half for curvature of space, rather than I'll take all the credit for curvature of space. So I mean, that sort of doesn't really jive with what my understanding was. You know, the whole understanding is supposed to be based on Einstein, right? His deflection formula. But it seems that he said, no, that's not true. The other interesting part, this is on page 55, same book, and it says, there exists an average density of matter in the whole of space, which is everywhere, and same and different from 0. Okay, let me read that again. It says, there exists an average density of matter in the whole of space, which is everywhere, the same and different from 0. And I look at that and I thought, if you go back and you look at my video, a simple model of a simple gravitational model of the universe, and if you look at that, you'll find out that what I was calling, gravity through this whole thing was what? Sort of this change within the density of space, from the sun. And that's how gravity is working. The sun is something, like a sink that the gravitational pull, is drawn back to, right? And that's what he said. So I actually thought up and wrote that first. So that was some time ago, and like I said, I never read, it was sitting there, and I never read the appendix, and so I started to read the appendix, and then I go, huh, that's interesting. So, in a sense, Mr. Einstein is validating my idea of gravity. Yeah, the magnitude of space, well, here's another one. The magnitude of space is independent of time. That seems to contradict his whole idea about space-time. So I'm not sure. There's some, and they have these ideas through it, and some of it it's not a great book. I think, I mean, if you're a physicist or you should read it. I mean, it's sort of like one of those must-read things. Okay. It's one of those. Like the formula for the deflection, no, what do they call it? The formula for the, yeah, for the deflection of light around a high mass, and he gives half the credit to Newton, and he takes the other half. That's sort of not what I understood. And now he's saying that the magnitude radius of space is independent of time. Well, I thought time had to be part of space, and right now he's saying it's completely independent. You can go, so the first one's on page 52, and what I just read is on page 55. So you can go take a look at those and make up your own mind. All right. Sorry that was a bit rough, but that's sort of the way I do it. And I hope you enjoyed that. And you can go back and look at some of my other videos that sort of lead up to this. But a lot of the science community really doesn't like what I do because it's completely different from what the current thinking is, and so they're doing everything they can to block me, which is why I've gone to YouTube, which luckily has given me a platform to sort of at least present my thoughts, and we'll see where they go from there. So thanks for watching and putting up, with the sort of the non-professional viewing of it, even though the content is correct. The video is not so great. But anyway, thank you. Go find the center of the universe.